I, Assistant Professor Milan Patel, ME Electrical Power System from Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center, Navsari, welcomes you in video lecture of the subject Renewable Energy Systems 3710715 of ME Semester 1 Electrical Engineering Department. Today I am going to discuss PV sizing for residential systems from the chapter number 2 solar energy. Now flow of contents for this video lecture. First one is PV sizing for residential systems, then batteries and inverters, then role of battery and inverter for the solar PV applications, then governmental incentives for the solar energy uses. Next one is grid connection issues during the solar energy use. Now remedies for the grid integration issues or grid connection issues. So now first, sizing for residential systems. Now there are main 5 points to consider during this sizing for the residential system. First one is solar panel load sizing, then solar PV array sizing, then solar inverter sizing, then solar charge controller sizing, and last one is battery sizing. So these main 5 points must be considered during the sizing of residential systems. Now first, solar panel load sizing. So first of all, determine the power consumption demand. Then calculate the total watt hour per day. So first of all, calculate the power consumption of the particular home or industry. Then calculate the total watt hour per day, means total units. You have to find in form of total watt hour or total kilowatt hour. So this is calculated by measuring the average watt hours consumed by different appliances per day. So this can be calculated by the average watt hour consumed by the different appliances per day. So we have to analyze the particular appliances during the 24-hour and then calculate this average watt hour. Next step, then calculate the total watt hour per day to be output by the solar modules. Then multiply the total watt hours per day by 1.3 times because of the energy lost in the system. So we have to multiply total watt hour by the 1.3 due to the system losses. This gives the total power that needs to be supplied by the solar panel. Next, solar PV array sizing. So different size of PV modules will produce different amount of power. In the previous step, we calculated the total watt hours to be output per day by the solar modules. Now calculate the average daily peak sun hours. Now we have to calculate average daily peak sun hours in your location. So we have to find the peak hours for the sunlight. Divide the total output to be delivered by the solar PV system by the daily peak sun hours. Then divide the total output to be delivered by the solar PV system by the daily peak sun hours. This gives approximate array size in kilowatt hour. So by doing this, we will get the array size in kilowatt hour. Divide this value by the efficiency factor of the solar panels to get the power output of the solar panels. Then to calculate the number of panels needed, divided the total watt hours to be produced by the rated power output of the PV modules. This provides the number of PV modules needed by you for the particular solar PV sizing system. Now third one is solar inverter sizing. Solar inverter converts the DC output from the solar panels to usable AC power. Hence sizing the solar inverter is important to that the conversion happens properly. So for proper conversion of the DC to AC energy, we must calculate the proper size of the inverter. The inverter is rated in watts. The inverter watt rating should be same or more than the PV solar system. In case of appliances like motor, the inverter size should be minimum 3 times the capacity of those appliances. So heavy loads like motor, we have to select at least minimum 3 times of the capacity of inverter. This is to handle the surge current during starting those types of appliances, because we know that the starting current of motors are higher, so we have to select higher rating inverter. For grid tied system, the input rating should be same as PV array ratings to allow for safe and efficient operation. Now the fourth one is solar charge controller sizing. The solar charge controller is rated with amperes and volt capacities. So choose a solar charge controller to match the voltage of PV array and batteries. Ensure that the solar charge controller has the capacity to handle the current supplied from the solar PV system. So during the selection of the solar charge controller, we must have to consider the amperes and voltage for the solar panel as well as the our battery. Now last one is battery sizing. A battery is not needed in case of solar on-grid system, because we know that in on-grid system the produced energy is directly supplied to the grid, and it is needed in case of solar off-grid system or hybrid solar system, a mix of solar on-grid and off-grid system. So choose a battery with a capacity equal to or more than that of the solar panels. So we have to select the battery size more than the solar panel size. Now battery capacity is measured in ampere hour. Find out the watt hours by multiplying ampere hour and voltage of the battery. For example, uh, 40 ampere hour battery, so 10 volt battery, the watt hour figure is 40 into 10, so it will give 400 watt hour, because this 40 ampere hour battery multiplied by this 10 voltage, so 10 volt into 40 ampere will give 400 watt, because we know that ampere into voltage is equal to watt, and this hour as it is, so this is the 400 watt hour battery. This means the battery should supply 400 watts for 1 hour or 200 watts for 2 hours. As our requirement, it will get discharged. The more energy you take, the more faster the battery is discharged. Now, how to find the number of panels for the given load for domestic or industrial purpose? There are main 5 steps to follow. First one is calculated your total load that you want to run in your house or industry. Then size your solar inverter based on electric load. Then third one is calculate the total current of your load. Next step is decide how many hours of battery backup you need. Then step 5, calculate size of solar panels based on the battery size and the current of the electric load. So these are the main 5 points or steps you have to consider during the finding the number of panels. Now first step, you should know how much power in watts your electrical appliances consume. For example, a tube light consumes 40 watts, fan consumes 80 watts, etc. etc. at the electrical load that you wish to use. So let us assume that you added everything and the figure that you get is 1000 watts. I consider one domestic use of 1000 watt. Then for step 2, if your total electric load is 100 watts, then you should choose an inverter of 1600 watts, 1600 watts. It is advisable to oversize the inverter because unfortunately DC to AC conversion that solar inverters do causes loss of energy. So we have to take 1.5 times larger inverter for the particular home appliances or the industrial appliances. Now, in step 3, in our example, the power is 1000 watt and we already know the voltage to be 24 volt. So, let's insert this figure into our formula. So, we can say that this is 1000 watt is equal to 24 volt into current. So, we can simply find our current from this two figure of power and voltage. So, current will be 41.66 amperes by dividing this power by 24 volt, we can get the 41.66 ampere of the current required by our appliances. Now assume we want backup of 5 hour, then our battery requirement will be like 100 multiplied by 5, so it will give watt hour, but we want battery rating in ampere hour, so we have to divide our watt hour by 24 volts, so it will give 208 ampere hour. So our battery size will be 208 ampere hour, but this figure is not practically available, so we will take round of 300 ampere hour. So it is okay to have extra backup. Now step 4, charging current of battery is equal to 1 upon 10th of its total ampere hour. So this is the formula for the charging current. It is the 10th time of its ampere hour. This means if we have 300 ampere hour battery, then charging current of battery is 30 ampere, 10% of this total ampere hour rating. So our solar panel need to make 30 amperes of current to feed our battery bank. So 30 ampere current required for the battery to get charged. So our solar panel should make 41 for our particular load and 30 ampere for the charging purpose of the battery. So solar panel should make 71 amperes for output. So 71 amperes is total output required by our solar panel. So now step number 5, we can find power from this output power from this output current and output voltage 30 volts. So power is equal to 30 volt into 71 ampere, so is equal to 2130 watts. So this is the total watts solar panel required by us. Let's round it off to 2500 watts because we can't have 2130 watts solar panel. We have not 210 watt solar panel, that's why we will consider round figure of it 2500 watts. So we can go for 10 panels of 250 watts each. So 10 number of solar panels having wattage rating of 250 we can use. So this is the formulas for the finding number of panels. Now role of battery. Lead acid batteries are often used in renewable energy systems. However, lithium batteries, through more expensive than the lead acid, are becoming more affordable and can have a much longer life. Most batteries are composed of a number of cells. In stand-alone power systems, the battery bank voltage commonly used are 12 volt, 24 volt, 48 volt and 120 volt. So battery banks should provide a number of days energy reserve. The two types of lead acid batteries that use an acidic electrolyte are wet cell and sealed cell. Wet batteries typically for renewable energy systems, but sealed batteries are becoming more common because they are safer and easier to maintain, because there is no need to uh, provide extra electrolyte in it during its operation. Now the role of inverter. First role is power maximization. So solar panels all have maximum power point, a performance curve where they produce the most power under a given set of circumstances. So inverter are equipped with MPPT tracker, and it continuously hunt for this sweet spot and maximize the energy available for your solar array. So first role of inverter is power maximization, means to track MPP during its operation. Then conversion. So solar panels produce direct current electricity, with most solar arrays producing around 200 to 600 volts DC. But in India, we use power as 230 volt AC. So the second function of an inverter is to convert the direct current DC electricity to usable alternative current AC electricity. So another function of inverter is to convert direct current from the solar panel to the AC current for the load. Then regulation. As the sunshine of solar output and grid conditions vary, an inverter will regulate and synchronize the variables so the power quality is within specification and power harvest is maximized. So power regulation is also done by the inverter. Now monitoring. Inverter also measure and display information for you so that you can check that your system is performing as expected, or diagnose fault if they occur. So we can predict the fault condition using inverter system. Now grid connection issues. The higher penetration of intermittent solar PV energy system has introduced many technical issues, including power quality, power reliability, safety and protection, load management, grid interconnections and controls, new regulations and grid operations. So first is a connection issue. In the power grid is currently the electric power flows from the higher voltage grid to the lower voltage grid. So this bidirectional power flows ask for different protection scheme at the both voltage levels. Uh, During connection, we know that one point having higher voltage and another having lower voltage. So we must provide different protection scheme for the higher and lower voltage level. Second one is the voltage control, balance and unbalanced voltage fault condition, then strong and weak grid conditions, then voltage magnitude modulations. So these are the voltage control problems during these grid connections. Third problem is frequency control. First, output frequency control of plus or minus 3 hertz to simulate the frequency response of the various power systems for the 50 or 60 hertz operation. So it must require frequency control for the grid connection of the solar PV system. Now power quality. Apart from large voltage drop to near zero reliability problems, one can also have smaller voltage deviations. The later deviations are aspects of power quality. Power quality refers to the degree to which power characteristics align with the ideal sinusoidal voltage and current waveform with current and voltage imbalance. So power quality issue is the major issue during the grid connection of the solar PV system, because it is hard to maintain voltage fluctuation, frequency deviation, and also the continuous power supply to the grid from the PV system. So these are the major grid connections issues. Now remedies to grid integration issues. So first one is a frequency measurement. A very fast and accurate method of frequency measurement is presented using a digital signal processing DSP based technique. So by using this measurement technique, we can measure frequency very fast and control it by any method. Then second one is voltage and frequency control. This work uses the frequency locked loop based on second order generalized integrator in order to measure voltage and current phasor. So this technique will measure voltage and current by phasor diagram, and it, it utilizes the second order generalized integrator SOGI FLL system for cure this problem of grid integration. Now, governmental incentives for this solar energy. Under solar rooftop scheme in Gujarat, residents and industries can get a subsidy of 40% for rooftop solar between 1 kilowatt to 3 kilowatt of installation, and for above between 6 kilowatt to 10 kilowatt 20% of subsidies are there. That translates to an effective price of approximate rupees 28,000 for those going till 3 kilowatt and rupees 37,000 for those opting for higher capacity till 10 kilowatt. There are no subsidies above 10 kilowatt. That is a price that can deliver payback in 3 to 4 years for most household in the 1 to 3 kilowatt range. So the total initial cost can be payback in 3 to 4 years for the 1 to 3 kilowatt range. Now for special states like states such as Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir and Lakshadweep, subsidy of up to 70% is given by the central government. Now governmental incentives. First one is development of solar parks and ultra mega solar projects, then schemes for setting up 1000 megawatt of grid connected solar PV power projects by the central public sector, then setting up 300 megawatt of grid connected solar PV power project by defense establishment, then pilot cum demonstration project for the development of the grid connected solar PV power plants on the canal banks and the canal tops. So bundling scheme of 15000 megawatt grid connected solar PV power plant through NTPC Limited, National Thermal Power Plant Corporation Limited. Now VFG schemes for setting up to 2000 megawatt of grid connected solar PV power projects through the Solar Energy Corporation of the India SECI. Now seventh scheme, installation of grid connected solar rooftop power plants in domestic and industrial purpose, and 8 off grid solar PV scheme. Now this table indicates the total capacity of the solar plant, then its cost, total project cost, subsidy and net subsidy. So for 1 kilowatt solar PV system, the total cost is 45780, means 45,780 rupees. So this is the project cost is also same. Now subsidy received from the government is 18,312 rupees. So subsidy received from the government, and whether it is in the range of 1 to 3 kilowatt, and for 3 to 10 kilowatt it is only 9156 rupees. So 1 kilowatt hour total net subsidy is 18,312 rupees. For 2 kilowatt system, the net subsidy is 36624 rupees, and for 3 kilowatt system it will be 54936 rupees. So this table indicates the net subsidy received by particular home application or industrial application from the government. Now previously asked GTU questions. So first explain the role of batteries and inverters in solar energy. 7 marks. Then discuss interconnection issues of the solar energy systems with the grid and its remedies. So it may be asked for 7 marks in future exams. So these two are the IMP questions covered in this video lecture. I hope you understood these two topics.